In this video, you're going to see how I was able to spend $100,000 and make back $150,000 over the last 15 months using Facebook ads. In this video, I'm going to show you the simplest Facebook campaign structure that allowed me to get these kind of results. Now, I particularly sell SaaS, but you can really take this and implement it for any kind of physical or digital product that you're selling. This video that you're about to see is a replay from a live session that I hosted for my team. Now you can go ahead and enjoy it for yourself. Let's dive right into it. Video, or basically in this session, I want to share how I have been able to spend 100K on ads for Content Gorilla and Franken AI, which both are a SaaS, software as a service. And basically what I am going to show you can be applied across really any product or niche. So it could even work for any sort of other digital products, or it could also work for any sort of physical products if that's what you want to sell. So how to sell anything with Facebook ads in 2025. Plus, as a bonus at the end, I'm gonna give you 3 lessons that I learned after spending almost 100K in Facebook ads over the last 15 or so months. So before we dive into it, let me just show you some proof. This is a screen grab from my Hyros account. As you can see, we have spent 101,000 and made back about 150,000. So that's roughly a 1.5x return on ad spend. And since pretty much all of our products are digital products, it's basically all money in the pocket, right? So of course, it's much easier to get a much higher return on ad spend when you're selling some sort of a physical product. So it's pretty typical to see upwards of 2x ROAS. But in my experience, I haven't been able to get there in terms of selling digital products. Hopefully that may change sometime. Maybe I just need to get better at marketing myself. But this is basically the main revenue that comes in out of the front-end funnel itself that we directly run on ads. So this does not include any revenue that comes from affiliate promotions or back-end webinars and all of that kind of stuff. This is direct money in and money out on day one, which is not bad for, we're basically acquiring customers at a profit. So that's always good for the business. So to be very honest, I have seen that people complicate Facebook ads a little too much. And in this session, the campaign structure that I'm going to show you on Facebook is so simple that you can literally set it up in 5 minutes. And once it's set up, honestly, I barely spend any more than 10 to 15 minutes in a day in the Facebook ads manager. So hopefully my to give you the same structure and the strategy that would basically allow you to create profitable ad campaigns without spending all of your day in the Facebook ads manager. Now, if any of you here has any experience with that, you know that pretty much over the previous few years, Facebook has really implemented quite a few improvements in their targeting that basically allows you to have close to no specific audience defined in your ads, and it can still reach to people that are actually interested in what you're selling. So that's basically what we're utilizing with the 3-2-2 campaign structure. And it has been like really effective for me, especially because it saves me time. And then of course I don't have to go in and find people that may be interested and then target them based on interest and all of that stuff. So this strategy, I call it, or not I, but basically the person I learned this from calls it 3-2-2, which basically means 3 ad creatives, 2 primary texts, and 2 headlines per ad in the Facebook campaign management system. Now, of course, I'm going to show you a full demo of how I basically go about setting up my Facebook ads campaign. But before I do that, I sort of wanted to give you a walkthrough or an explanation on how or why the structure is what I follow. So this contains 3 ad variations. which are basically similar ad creatives. The hook is completely same throughout the variations, but the initial visuals are different. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're doing this with video creatives or image creatives. The strategy that I utilize, the hook always remains the same. The visuals of the image or the video change. So for instance, I'll first show you the image example, and then I'll sort of tell you about the video example and how you can do this with video. So this is an ad that I literally just published 30 minutes ago for Content Gorilla. And the main hook here is same across all three images, and it is create and publish 365 days of content to your blog in 150 seconds, right? That's the hook. As you can see, it's similar across all three of these image creatives. The only difference is how it's visually represented. And so there's this, well, even the difference is quite slight, but basically you just want to test what's gonna catch your audience's attention and then get them to click through to your ads. That's really the whole purpose of changing the visuals. But if we basically change the hook itself in terms of the creatives, we won't be able to really tell which creative performed well, which is number one reason why we keep the hook same in the creatives that we're publishing. So three creatives. Now, in terms of how you would do this for a video, so how I do it is basically I would just sort of try and change my surroundings, or maybe have slight deviation in the words that I speak. So instead of saying 365 days in one of the videos, I could possibly say an year. So 365 days is equals to an year, so I can do that. Or I could just change my setup. So instead of sitting in this office and shooting here, I could jump in my car and record a video there, say the exact same thing, just the visuals around me have changed. Or I could just instead of recording on front, I could just pull up Content Gorilla on my computer and perhaps have my phone right here in my hand and then record through there, so the people look at the computer screen and not the background that I have here. So that's how I would basically change it based on what I'm trying to achieve. Then the second thing is, from the 3-2-2 strategy, the second thing is the two primary texts that go into your Facebook ads description. Now, this is typically the text that shows up on the Facebook post itself, the sponsored post. And so again, what I try to do here is, if I already have a winning primary text, which means, from the history of the ad creatives that I have been running, if I already have a winner primary text that has been performing really well and, is responsible for most of the sales, I'll use that. And then I will add one new primary text, which will be more specific towards the ad. So if you see the ad, it says 365 days of content in 150 seconds. And so this first variation, it's basically quite generic, but it's also been, the winning one. So that's what goes for the first primary text. And then in the second one, I have basically tailored it more towards the creative that I have. So, if you read this, it says, what if you could create and publish 365 days of content to your blog in just 150 seconds? So again, really directly relates to the creative, and it may perform better than the winning variation because of the fact that it's directly related to it, right? Similarly, headlines are the same. You utilize one winner and then one new variation. So in our case, the winner has been 92% users recommend with these 5-star emojis. And then the new headline that I added directly correlated to the creative itself. So 150 seconds and 365 days of content. Now, of course, the word limit here is quite a bit low. So, you have to make sure you get the message across in as less amount of words as you can, which is what I have done here. Now, of course, I'm going to show you this entire thing in just a moment by diving into my ads manager. And then I'll also basically show you the entire process of setting up a new campaign once you have created your Facebook ads account. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. But before I do that, does anyone have any questions so far?
Not at all.
That's great. Okay. Hopefully it's all clear so far. So as you can see here, what I showed you, add creatives, three, add creative, similar, primary text, and then the headline. So this is going to be the ad creative. Now, of course, Facebook plays around with the variations of it, but you get the idea. Then this is going to be your primary text, and Facebook will experiment between both of these variations, see which one performs better, gets you more sales, and then it's going to optimize it for that, and it's basically going to show that to more users. And then lastly, the headline. This is basically the part of the headline where you know this is where it shows up. So let's go ahead and set up a new campaign in Facebook. So I'll sort of give you a quick walkthrough of how to actually go and set up all of this. Now, of course, this is assuming that you already have a Facebook ads account. If you don't have that, first step would be to go and sign up for that. And then the second step would be to create your conversion pixel, have it integrated with your website, whether you're using conversions API or not. Make sure you have the conversion. Now, I can't really dive into that in here because it's a little too technical, but if any of you guys want to start running ads yourself and need any help, you can hit me up and I'll basically show you how to do this as well. But besides that, you should be able to find videos on YouTube that go over how to integrate your pixel and all easily. Plus pretty much every page builder service, so things like Shopify or System or ClickFunnels and all, they already have Facebook conversions API integration. So it's really a process of just integrating your Facebook ads account with that, and that way you can automatically send the conversion data. Now, the conversions API is what is recommended, but in some scenarios it may not be possible for you to integrate that, in which case you can utilize the pixel. But then you do have to make sure that you are, if you're running ads to Europe and US, you have to ensure that you are basically compliant and not just dropping cookies without the proper authorization from the user of your website. So that's something you have to keep in mind. But with that being said, let's just go ahead and create a campaign, assuming that you already have all of that done. It's pretty simple. On the main dashboard, it's going to look like this. You just come in towards the campaigns tab and then click on create. Under the buying type, you always want this to be auction. Don't even touch reservation. In terms of campaign objective, if you are selling anything, your objective will always be sales. If you want to generate leads, so for instance, if you perhaps have some sort of a service you'd like to provide, that could be, say, content writing, for example, and you want to generate leads for that, because it's going to be a formal process where you will discuss the details and requirements with the client and all, and then you will actually send them a proposal. So there's no direct purchase button in this case. Then you could go for leads. But beside that, unless you're you have what you're doing with awareness, traffic, engagement, and app promotions, it's really useless. So just stick with these two objectives depending on what you want to get out of in terms of your ad. Then I haven't really tried Advantage Plus shopping campaign. I know it performs well for Shopify stores, but if you're selling a digital product, it may not be a good idea at all. So we'll be focusing on a digital product. So we'll go with the manual sales campaign. So let's start with that. And now it's going to basically create a campaign and then an ad set and then an ad for you, which you can go ahead and start editing. Now, typically I keep it really simple. So since this is going to be a budget optimized campaign, I call it CBO. It's just how I name it. You can really name it however you'd like. Then I also like to mention what objective I'm trying to get out of the campaign. So it's a purchase campaign, not a lead generation. So I'm just going to type purchase. And then I like to also type in the country that I'm trying to target. So it could be US, UK, Canada, or really whatever. If you're targeting the entire world, you could just go with worldwide. But I'll just say we want to target United States, for example. Then I can also, sometimes I do mention the audience I'm going for. So I'll type in 18 to 60 years old, and then male or female, depending on if I'm targeting a specific gender. Otherwise, I'll leave this blank. And then in special ad categories, you don't really have to do anything here unless you're running an ad that falls into this category, which we're not. So we'll leave that. Advantage plus catalog ads, you leave this off. No need to touch that. Now, this is the one thing that you're going to turn on at the campaign level, and it's Advantage campaign budget. And what this basically does is it will automatically assign budget to your ad sets. So you don't have to come in and see which ad set is performing well and then assign budget yourself. And additionally, this also helps you optimize your campaign better, because Facebook then only spends money on the ads that are performing well, which is why I highly recommend that you only use Advantage campaign budget. So, you can start with whatever budget you like. Typically, what I do recommend is that based on your price point of the product that you're selling. So say you're selling a $40 product, have the same amount as your daily budget, and then go from there. As you start generating sales, you can go ahead and keep on increasing the budget. I'll share my budget increment strategy as well when I get to that, but basically that's where you should start, in my opinion. So the price of whatever product you're selling should be your daily budget, and you should be able to spend it for at least 7 days, so that Facebook can actually optimize. Even if you get no sales, you should be comfortable to spend this kind of money for 7 days. Then in terms of budget scheduling, no need to touch this. I don't really schedule budget increases either. Ad scheduling, run ads all the time. That's what I do. That's what I've found to be the best as well. And then A/B test, no need to touch this, keep this off. And with that, just move on to the next section. Now, this is the ad set. This is where you're going to define the conversion you're optimizing for, and then also the audience. So I'll typically just name this whatever number of tests that I'm running it is. So test 001, for instance, and then I'll call this, say, if it's an image ad, I'll typically type image and then the hook of the image. So say 365 days of content in 150 seconds. And then conversion location is typically going to be your website, unless you have a website and app, or you're trying to drive sales in Messenger, Instagram, and WhatsApp, which is not really available in all of the countries. So probably want to stay away from that and stick with website. Then the performance goal is always going to be maximize number of conversions. No need to touch anything else in here. Data set, now this is where the pixel that you have set up is going to come into play. So as you can see, I have pixels here with conversions API for Content Gorilla and Franken AI. I'm just going to select Content Gorilla, and then the conversion event is basically the data that you would like to send back to Facebook, right? So the way Facebook works is pretty incredible. And this particular metric is going to be the most essential thing that you're going to be sending back to Facebook. So you have to ensure that it is working correctly. Now, the way we basically are sending back the purchase event, which means that every time someone purchases that came off Facebook, we will send the data back via our servers to Facebook, so that Facebook can identify what this person's profile is like, right? So Facebook has like thousands of data points on every single person that uses Facebook. And so what Facebook does is that when you send the data back of the purchaser, it's gonna try and find more people that have similar data points, right? So as much data that you can send back to Facebook, the better the optimization, right? So you have to make sure that you always optimize for purchases if the goal of your campaign is sales. If it's leads, then there will be lead section here, right? You can select that, but otherwise you are pretty much always going to send back purchased it. Now, some people do utilize add to cart and all of that as well, which I do not recommend, because you really don't want people that add a product to cart or went to the checkout page but never purchased it, right? So you don't really want to send that data back to Facebook. You only want to send the data from the people that actually purchased it. So you do that. Dynamic creatives is going away anyway, so don't touch this. Then the budget and schedule, typically I prefer starting it on a new day, so I'll just go for the next day, and then I'll typically just change this to 1 a.m. That's what I typically do. You don't really have to do that. You can launch it immediately as well. It works just fine, but I prefer having a fresh start. Then ad set spending limits, you can add whether or if you want to define this. I don't really recommend it. I would let Facebook do the job when it comes to this. Then audience control. Now this is where you define what location and interest and all you want to go after. So this is the new audiences that Facebook have, where I only recommend that you utilize the country, or if you are, say, a physical business, you may want to utilize a particular city or state. In that case, go with that. Otherwise, just specify the countries you want to target, and that's really it. You don't have to do interest-based targeting, as in you don't have to define, like, if I was running ads with Facebook 5 years ago, I would go in and I would define things like, I want people that are interested in content marketing and all of that kind of crazy stuff. So, people that are into content marketing, digital marketing, SEO, and then I'll have to test between audiences which one performs best, and then I'll have to create more ads for all of that. You don't really have to do that anymore. You just define the country you want to target, and Facebook literally handles everything else. And I'll tell you how that works in a moment as well. Then you can define the minimum age. Typically, you want to stay above 18. So, 18 is fine, 18 and above. Unless you're selling some sort of an adult product, then you may want to go up to 25. But I don't really suggest you go about selling adult products. Yeah, it will get you in trouble. But anyway, moving on, you can also exclude custom audiences. So if you want to exclude buyers from seeing your ads again, you can do that. I don't do it because I have seen that when a buyer has a positive experience and they see the ad again, they will typically comment positive things about the product, which generates social proof and basically helps you get more sales. Now, of course, there are always some people that do come in negative things as well. So, it's just a trade-off you'll have to make, or you can, of course, go in and filter as well. Then you can change the languages. Typically, I just type in English and select all variations of English that they have showing up here, because that's the countries I ideally want to target, or that's the kind of people that I ideally want to target. Then you also have Advantage Plus audience. It will automatically, find people that are most likely to respond to your ads. And again, this is something that I do recommend you use, because as you can see, if I switch to original audience, now this is where I can, go in and add things like demographic, interest, and behavior, which is not something that we want to do. So make sure you are using Advantage Plus audiences at all times. I will just switch back to it. And then Advantage Plus placements is fine as well. This will basically give Facebook more opportunity to show your ads everywhere. So, on Facebook newsfeed, stories, in-app, and literally everywhere. But that's pretty much it for the ad set setting. Then you can click on the next button and it's going to take you to the ad level. This is actually where you're going to be setting up your ad creative. I typically like to just name it with the hook that I use. You can really name it however you'd like, but it's just something I use to, remind myself of what kind of ad is inside this. And it really helps when you have over 100 ads, right? Then partnership ad. So if you say you have some influencer, you've gotten to post a video, For your business, you can use that as an ad when you enable this, but I don't really use that. I just create the videos or pictures myself, so I just keep that off. Then identity, this is basically going to be the Facebook page that you, or that will show up with the ad itself, right? So this is going to be the page that is going to run under this particular ad. And then of course you want to select the same Instagram account too. Then with the ad setup, you always go with create ad, unless you have a really viral performing post and you want to run ads on that. You can use that as well, but I pretty much always just create new ads. Of course, we're using manual uploads here. And then in the ad format, and this is pretty important, you want to select flexible, because we're going to be utilizing 3 creatives, and that works best with the flexible headset. So now, moving on, this advertiser ads, I haven't really seen much a difference in terms of whether I enable or disable it. So, you can choose to do either. But basically what it does is when someone is in a purchasing mindset and they're really going crazy on Facebook in terms of purchasing things, your ads will show up to them because of their behavior. Won't hurt to have it enabled. Then moving on, we have the add media option. Now again, this is where you basically select your ad creatives. Typically, for I just showed you the 3-2-2 strategy, and this is where it comes into play. So you're just going to select 3 of your image creatives. I personally use AI to create the ads, and let me just quickly show you how I do that. It's an app called ideogram.ai. I have found it to be the one that gives the best results, and really you can just give it a simple prompt. So typically how I write the prompt is an ad for a software called Franken AI saying, and then what I want in the ad itself, I'll just add it in the quotes. So an ad for a software called Franken AI saying, create 365 days of content for your Instagram. And really, that's how simple it is. You can just come into this, and basically it has a feature called magic prompt, which will automatically make the prompt more explanatory, which gives you better results. So I'll typically use that and I keep it on. And then the aspect ratio for image ads that you're running on Facebook and Instagram is always going to be 1. Then you can also define if you have a specific color scheme you would like to utilize, and then you click on generate. It gives you 4 generations. You can go in and basically download whatever you'd like. If you don't like it, you can retry it. And sometimes the text that it generates is a little screwed up, so you have to improve your prompt to get the best results. But most of the time it really works pretty good. So as you see, create 365 days of content for your Instagram. And really, that's how simple it is to create the ad images these days. So I don't even utilize a designer to create my ad images anymore. That's how you create the images. You come in, upload it in here, and then primary text, typically, like I said, you want to use one that you have that is a winner already. But if you do not have, or if it's your first ad that you're publishing, you don't really have a winner, you can just go ahead and utilize AI. So what I do is I send it to ChatGPT and ask it to write a primary text for me. So as you can see, I just send it the ad set, add image, and then I have created this Facebook ad. Can you help me write 2 variations of primary text and 2 variations of headline for the ad itself? And then this ad is for Content Gorilla, just for some context. So then it will generate the variations of the content for you, and you can, of course, tell it more details if you'd like to improve it. But say that this one is fine by you can just go in, copy paste it, add another one, and this is going to basically help you split test it with the other variation automatically. And then same for the headline. You can ask ChatGPT or you can create your own. Let's just say I want to create my own. You can do that, and that's really it. I don't really add the description because then it really creates far too many variations of the ad, so it's much harder to get or easily find a winning variation. Then you just enter your sales page or your website URL. So in our case, it's this. You can also customize the link that shows up here. So you could say content gorilla.ai. I don't know, whatever you'd like, but this basically shows up right about this area, right? Then finally, you can turn on the advantage plus creative optimizations. I mean, I don't really utilize it as much because I haven't been able to find much difference. But what this does is it will take your creative and it will add things like filter over your images, and then maybe converts an image into a video by adding a music track to it and all of that kind of stuff, which may help. But again, what this does is it creates too many variations for every single person, and so it just doesn't you then you have a hard time finding what actually you want. So I typically do not use this, but you can use it. It's not a big deal. In terms of call to action, I stick with either learn more or sign up. Both of them do fine. I haven't really been able to find much difference between utilizing different call to actions. But of course, if I am gonna be saying something like contact us, it may not be as effective for Content Gorilla because it doesn't make sense. So use a call to action that's relevant to whatever it is that you're selling. Event details, don't really have to do anything here. And then in terms of tracking, you don't really have to touch anything here either, unless you're using some sort of a tracking software. So we use Hyros, which basically means that I will typically add my Hyros URL parameters so that the ad gets attributed to the sale. But otherwise, you really don't need to add anything in here. So you can use tools like Hyros, AnyTrack, or something similar that may help you get better tracking, because Facebook's tracking on its own is quite shit. But yeah, that's basically how I create the ads. And then when I'm ready, I just click on the publish button and then it goes live. Not going to do that here because I already have a campaign running for Content Gorilla. And in terms
Well,
of
I have a query over
giving you
here.
an overview, sorry, go ahead.
I have a query here that can't we customize the call to action because we have some sort of contact us or like some other option. So can't we customize that?
No. So they have a few call to actions that you can use, but you can't really customize and add your own, or at least I haven't seen it. Let me just confirm.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So you have these options and you basically go in and select one from that, but you can't really add anything besides this.
Okay. Pretty cool.
But yeah, that's that. Now let's talk about how I try and see, or how scale and kill ads. So let's say I want to see the data from the last 14 days. Now, I like to generally look at the number of results that I'm getting off that ad and how much is every single purchase costing me. So if you see here, it's going to tell you the number of results that you get. And then under the cost per result column, you can see how much every single purchase is costing you. So that basically gives you a good idea of what you're trying to aim for, and then at what point you should kill the ads. Now, I have launched these two ads today, which is why you do not see any stats here. Let me just discard the drafts first. But yeah, so typically if an ad is performing really good, so for now this particular ad is performing at $30 per purchase, which is quite incredible. And it has spent about $400 to, so that basically means that this is one of the better winning ads. And then I'll basically keep on running it. These two I have just turned off because one of this was giving a $41 cost per purchase, and then the other one was giving $80 cost per purchase almost. And the reason I turned this off was because, well, it's a little too high, right? And then if you look at the frequency of the ad as well, now frequency means how many times a person is looking at or is being served this particular ad. The higher the frequency, the worse the ad in terms of being able to scale it. So those are a few metrics that I keep in mind when I am looking at which ads to kill. So now you'll notice that there's this one particular ad that's getting me $90 purchases, but I still haven't killed it. And that's because I did try killing it over the last 3 or 2 weeks ago, maybe. And then in that week, our sales in general really died. So even though this particular ad has a much higher cost per purchase, it's actually responsible of bringing in the most amount of sales. And since the purchase is attributed to the last ad the person clicks on and not the first one they see, it's not directly attributing the sales here, but it's one of the reasons why we are able to basically make a lot of sales. And this ad in itself also um, serves as social proof, right? So if I just show you the post that basically is in the ad, you will see that we have customers down here saying, I have this, it works great for lecture videos, I have been using it for about a month, huge help, I bought it also. So as you can see, and then of course some negative comments too. But as you can see, this is one ad that's responsible of bringing in the most amount of um, eyeballs to the business itself, which is a major reason behind why I haven't turned it off. Because once someone clicks on this ad, then they're able to see more of our ads as well, because then we can tell that this particular person is interested in the product. So Facebook then automatically starts serving him the rest of the ad. So you could call this a top of the funnel ad, and the other ones are middle of the funnel and bottom of the funnel, which is the reason why I have kept it on even at a $90 per purchase. And then I'm just basically now these two ads in particular, this one has been running for a while, but this one hasn't have enough amount spent, so $400 is quite low. I'll still let it spend about and get it to about $1,000 before I actually made the decision of cutting it out or keeping it. But yeah, and then so what I do is I try and launch 3 to 5 new ads every single week. At least that's the goal, even though some weeks I'm not able to do that, but that's basically the goal. And that's something that I do recommend you do as well. With which I would also like to move on to my presentation, give you the 3 bonus tips. But before I do that, does anyone in here have any questions, or was this all clear enough for you guys? I am guessing it was pretty clear.
Yeah, sorry, I joined a bit late, but the part I followed, I was able to follow. That's useful. That's good. How often again do you test ad creators? Maybe you already answered that.
So, well, I aim to launch 3 to 5 new ads every week,
Okay.
but some weeks I do miss it. But yeah, so the goal is basically to launch 3 new ads at least every week, and so that would give you way more opportunities to find the winners. But yeah, and at a point in time, I don't really prefer having any more than 5 ads active in a campaign, because otherwise there are too many ads and the budget doesn't goes to the other ones that may perform well. So 5 active ads at any given point, and then once a week log into the ads manager, turn off the losers, and launch 3 to 5 new ads.
Got it. Okay.
All right.
I have a
Now
question.
moving. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have retargeting ads? Like, hey, you forgot something in the cart or something like that?
That's a good question. I don't do retargeting ads because, well, I can do it, but like Facebook automatically does the retargeting work for me. So if someone is interested, as you can see, the frequencies here are higher than 1, which means that multiple people are seeing these ads multiple times, which basically means that it's automatically retargeting people with the ads itself. I don't have a designated creative for retargeting, because I have seen that in general, retargeting creatives, even though they may get you results for cheap, you can't really scale it. And so the goal is to be able to scale the ads, and the lower the frequency in that case, the better it performs, which is why I don't really do individual retargeting campaign or individual retargeting ads. Does that make sense, Adrian?
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, moving on, probably the 3 biggest lessons that I've learned over the last 15 minutes after spending 100K is: number 1, create more ads. Like, there is no such thing as too many ads, right? The more ads you create, the better chances you have that you will find a winner quicker. And then not only that, it also helps you identify what messaging you should be pursuing in order to be able to get better results and eventually scale your ads. And then it also helps you collect data quicker, so the faster you fail, the faster you learn. Then the same thing, it helps you get better faster. Secondly, consistently launch new ads. So this is something that I have recently had a revelation on. But basically, I went back and I looked at the months that performed really well for us, and in those months I was creating much more creatives much more consistently. And so that really helped us being able to take our ad spend as high as, I think it was about $20,000 in a particular month. So that's also something that I'm trying to utilize more of going towards 2025, where I really want to get consistent with launching new ad creatives every single week, and which is also something I recommend that anyone that goes into Facebook ads does. And it's also there was a research, I forgot which research, I basically forgot the name of the company that did it, but the crux of the research was that a business that creates 50 ads it takes at least 50 ads before you can actually find a winning creative. So with Content Gorilla, so far we have published roughly 70 creatives, and after that there's only really one creative that's performing incredibly well, and it's been performing like that for over 6-7 months now. So the more creative you create, the faster and the better you get results. Again, launch 3 to 5 new ads every week. That's been my goal for 2025 as well. Been trying to get there, haven't been able to. In January I launched, let me see, in January I launched, I think, 11 creatives in total. So close to the goal, but not really there yet. Then of course, shoot and create fresh new creatives. Do not use the same old creatives over and over again. And that's also because, number 1, it's going to create creative fatigue, which basically means that your creatives will no longer produce the results that you expect of them or that they once were creating. And then the considering how fast the world changes, the messaging may not connect if you're utilizing the old creatives that you have again and again. Then lastly, the third tip is focus on marketing fundamentals. Do not obsess over going in and targeting a specific audience in Facebook campaign management system, and then creating more problems for you, because Facebook is pretty smart now. You don't really have to define any sort of targeting. Your creatives and your sales pages do the targeting for you. So all you have to do in that case is, for instance, let me just quickly pull this up. So this is my creative, right? What Facebook does is it will automatically analyze the creative, and then based on that, it's going to create the targeting automatically itself. You don't have to go in and basically type like, hey, this is for content marketers, right? And then it's also, of course, gonna read through your headline and your primary text. And then lastly, it's also going to scroll through your sales page. So the link of the page that you are sending the people to is going to be another essential thing in terms of what audience sees your ads. So don't obsess over defining target audiences inside Facebook. Instead, let your creatives and your sales page do the targeting for you. Create better ads that focus on the marketing fundamentals. So, good copywriting, good hooks, good psychological factors inbuilt into your copywriting and your hooks. And that's really the only way you will be able to create good ad campaigns that will allow you to scale your ad spend. I hope this was helpful. But yeah, that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for showing up.